If you're in the Discord, I ask a question or just the general statement of, what do you want to hear once a week? And the first person to answer the question or just tell me what they want to hear, or a YouTube comment, chooses the lore for the week. And this week's lore comes to us by way of the Tubby Master. It's on the Powder Gangers from Fallout New Vegas. A raider gang in the Mojave from 2281. I get all of my lore off of the Fallout wiki, fallout.fandom.com, the Nukipedia, if you will. Originally housed at the NCRCF. Pre-war, this was the Gene Conservatory and was a low-security, all-female prison. Prisoners were tasked with maintaining the railroad along the Long 15 under military NCR soldier supervision. And this railroad that they had links the Boneyard to New Vegas. It's a huge trade route that was used by the NCR to keep a constant flow of food and water and ammo and all sorts of other types of rations and morale keeping up what have you stuff. As Legion tension escalated, more guards from the NCRCF were being pulled away to other areas like the dam to make sure that the Legion wasn't encroaching on what the NCR believed was their territory. The prisoners at this time see this and realize that the ranks within the NCRCF are getting weaker and take this as an opportunity to attack. Now, a man named Samuel Cook instructs a small group of powder gangers to stockpile weapons and explosives. Some of their favorites being stolen: powder charges, single-shot shotguns, 9mm pistols, varmint rifles, and 357 mag revolvers. Samuel Cook says at one point that when you speak to him that he would take a gun, stash it there, a little explosive, put it here, and just kind of move stuff around when the opportunity was in front of them. They attacked all the NCR on duty, blasting their way through the prison, and eventually killed the warden, and they established their own rule. Now, these are men that were... There's no female powder gangers. These were men that were oppressed by the NCR and wanted their way out, and are kind of a ragtag group throughout the entirety of their existence, which I'll get into a little more later on. But now they have a pseudo-freedom. Like, the NCR sees them as criminals, but they themselves see themselves as free men. They still wear the blues. They still wear the prison blues that they had when they were inside, but now it's more a badge of honor, in a sense. Some prisoners fled to Vault 19. Sam Cook, the leader, the pseudo-leader of the Powder Gangers during the time of the revolt, of the revolution, of the riot, he escapes to Vault 19. He never takes up the name of Powder Ganger, though. He takes the name of Escaped Convict. Others stood in the prison. There's a few camps around the prison, and they cause havoc up and down the Long 15. Now, this revolt from the NCRCF shuts down Highway 93, and this was the NCR's main road to Vegas, shutting off a huge supply chain for the NCR. After they do this, they also go to Quarry Junction and steal all of Sloan's dynamite. They steal all the dynamite, and this is what leads to the Deathclaws coming back to Quarry Junction and kind of taking refuge there. And like I said, they have these small camps around the prison. They're inside the prison itself. But they attack the surrounding towns like Goodspring, Sloan, like I mentioned, and Prim. And after all this result, you would think in some kind of a prison-y way, some sort of a prison culture kind of way, there's an honor amongst thieves. You know what I mean? You would think that somebody out in the Waste would like them, and nobody does. The NCR doesn't like them because obviously the NCR doesn't like them. The NCR lost it's the US versus Vietnam. The NCR lost to a couple of guys who were hiding guns in safe spots, and when nobody was looking, they busted out and blasted through and took them all down. The NCR wants nothing to do with them. In their eyes, that's a battle that they lost. The Legion wants nothing to do with them because they harass Legion raiding parties as they would come down the Long 15 and other parts of New Vegas that all lead to Vegas. And because of the town of Nipton, I can only imagine the few Legion soldiers that were there that Vulpes and Kulta talks about briefly. I doubt that the Powder Gangers and them got along because they probably had a chip on the shoulder. Oh, look at us. We overthrow NCR and you're their biggest competitor. You guys in football equipment that are talking like it's thousands of years ago. Idolize a guy who obviously has an olive oil fetish, so they're probably not too great to them. And the Brotherhood of Steel doesn't like them because they interrupt patrols around Hidden Valley. Now, like I was saying in Nipton, before the massacre by Vulpes and Kulta, it was Powder Gangers during the day were there, and it was NCR at night. They would come in and they would get up to all sorts of their debauchery and kind of switch out to make sure that they never actually intertwine with each other. But the escaped convicts of Vault 19 want to join the Great Khans, which I think is super interesting because the NCR and the Khans hate each other because of Bitter Springs, and the NCR hates the NCRCF escaped convicts. So Sam Cooke and the fellas at Vault 19 are like, the exact quote here is, they probably hate the NCR more than we do, and their strength in numbers. And that's paraphrased a little bit, but I think that's neat. There's a real sense of respect and a sense of a forthcoming camaraderie that comes from Sam Cooke talking about the Powder Gangers. Like I said, I get all of my lore off of fallout.fandom.com, and I just want to get some quick fun facts off the wiki. Just some notes for you real quick. Even though most of the Powder Gangers themselves have evil karma, the faction itself is not marked as evil, so you can steal from them. Stealing from them actually gives negative karma. This is behind the scenes. The 215 Rail Line Powder Gang were almost due to appear in Black Isle's canceled Van Buren. Commenting on the differences between New Vegas' Powder Ganger and the 215 Rail Line Powder Gang, Joshua Sawyer stated that Van Buren faction had much more developed characters and were going to play a large role, where in Fallout New Vegas their focus in the game was greatly diminished. I like the Powder Gangers a lot. They feel very much like a Fallout 3 faction in the sense that they're smaller, they're not super developed. Doesn't mean they're any better or any worse. I think they're a great introductory faction. They're kind of a joke, and I like that it's the only faction that I can really think of off the top of my head right now in New Vegas that is not completely developed, that has a long-standing history. Like the Khans have been in from the first game. You have stuff like the Brotherhood that's been in from the first game. The Legion has a history that goes back at least 30 years. I'm trying to think how old Caesar is. But Caesar's lore wraps into the followers' lore. So there's a lot there with every other faction. And I like that you kind of get to see this faction that's just started. Like you really get the feeling that it just started either right before or right after the first battle of Hoover Dam. And I really appreciate that about this game, is that you kind of learn about them as they're learning about themselves, and it's the first kind of faction that you interact with Goodsprings, and just, it's, even though Josh Sawyer said it's a little underdeveloped, I like them a lot. And that, my friends, is everything I have for you on this week's lore. Hey, hi, it's Vince. I hope you enjoyed that video you just watched. If you'd like to support in any sort of way, in the description below there's links to my Twitter, the show's Twitter, and the Patreon. You could support at any level, and you could be on screen like some of the names are currently. I hope to see you soon. Thank you for watching, and if you get a chance, check out another one of my videos. I'd really appreciate it. Share it with a friend. Cool. I'll see you guys later. Be safe. I love you. Bye.